Zac Maas.
And I'm AJ Finney.
And this is
Hippie
Not Hippie.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 64 of Hippie Not Hippie.
Yeah! We're joined by two guests today in the studio. We have Liv Schyling here all the way from New York on
NYC.
What? Your apartment's getting...
Just helping out family, doing some family stuff. Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm paying New York prices and living with my mom right now.
Wow.
Oh, well, that means you're a good child.
Maybe get your mom to shave you off a couple Benjamins to help with that rent.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, the fact that I'm already shaving her at all is enough.
So, and then we're also joined by Kyle Pogue in the fucking house.
Hello.
So, yeah, welcome, guys. We were just talking a little bit about mushrooms. And I was like, we should start talking because what did you say right as we were about to start recording? That you had a tent to grow, that you got a tent to grow mushrooms in?
Gifted a mushroom grow tent because he had to leave his apartment legally, quickly. And
Did it have to do with the grow?
he was squatting for a long time and his time had just run out. You
He
know?
had a number of things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, legally and quickly, commonly said together,
course.
okay?
Farewell, 10 time on my own.
He's like, do you want this? I'm like, I mean, I'm looking for another source of income because you were also my boss for a little. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it was a little grow tent, and I just set it up, but I just didn't have the spores or anything to figure it out.
So you've basically it's a isolation chamber, right?
Well, yeah, so you were saying you used it instead as
it's a panic room.
How ironic that is.
I like that a panic room can be a place where a person goes to panic, or it can also be a place to protect you in case people try to break into
Other
your
people
house.
are panicking. Yeah.
And I like the idea of someone like coming into your house and you're like, I'm just gonna get into my mushroom tent. No one will be able to fuck with me.
I
in
just
here.
need a minute. Yeah.
To
contain my vibes.
Yeah,
Just
just-
to contain the bad vibes so I can walk out and then I just leave them in there.
Yeah, just so you know, Liv never panics,
No, not
but
once.
people do really like regularly try to kidnap her out of her home. So. Gotta have a panic room.
That's really true. You do have an odd number of, I don't know if almost kidnaps, but
Yeah, 3 stalkers. 3 stalkers, that's enough.
3 stalkers in what time frame?
1 was in high school and 2 were within since I moved to New York.
Wow. So those
3
ones
stalkers before 30. Before you're 30 years old.
I know. That's what they're saying, 30 before 30, but I can't get to that many stalkers.
Wow. So yeah, hi, 3 new fans of the podcast.
Yeah.
They're blocked on everything.
They're listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Restraining orders?
No. Mostly because I keep on hooking up with lawyers that are about to represent me. But
Nice.
What about you, Kyle? Any stalkers?
No, I've never been stalked, and I wouldn't say I've ever stalked.
Okay, that was the next question.
I've stalked from
number
a
2.
distance, like we all have. I've stalked old,
to be fair, that's a good stalker.
but no one knew that I was
like
stalking them.
Facebook trolling? Like,
Yeah.
what are they up to?
Yeah,
So I feel like there's a difference between like taking a peek
yeah. I've taken it.
and following somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, if I look way back, right, late teens, high school, I probably drove by a house or two.
Oh, yeah. Were you going to do that?
But just like in angst of like, ooh, she loves another.
Oh,
You know, that
yeah.
kind of thing, you know.
That's a good one.
Playing your music real loud.
Yeah, just like in a John Cusack kind of
Like she might see me drive by and realize she misses me.
And she'll know how dedicated I am.
Yeah.
Oh, I have had all those thoughts. Yeah.
Those are the ones that make you do things you wish you wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
Like those
Making
feelings.
a very pointed playlist or something, or
Yeah.
a mixed CD where you're like,
God, I've made some embarrassing playlists, man.
Yeah,
Embarrassing playlists.
man.
Yeah, any like what's the number one like sad high school song that comes to mind for you?
Well, I wouldn't say it was sad, but I immediately the one that makes me cringe to this day is I made a woman. She wasn't even a woman; she was a girl. We were children. I made her a playlist.
I love how it went from women to girl to child.
Wait,
How old were you at this time?
Which one's going to make me seem better?
but I remember putting on the Billy Joel song, "Just the Way You Are," which was just way oversharing for someone who wasn't even into me at all.
Oh, yeah.
It was, and I was just like, "This fucking, she'll get it," you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's the worst.
I'm just like, my spine's crawling right now thinking about it.
Yeah.
Very embarrassing.
It's such a weird thing. It's such a vulnerable moment where you go, do they not get what I'm trying to say? Or are they just going, just drag this guy around for a little while?
So, I read an article recently that like 40% of songs are like avoidant detachment style relationships, like love songs. Like it's like the attachment style or whatever. And it's like 80% are unhealthy. Like 80% of popular music songs about love are like unhealthy.
Toxic on one side of the other.
And there's only like 10% that are like kind of like, okay.
Well, a secure attachment song is so boring. It's like, I come home back to you right after work.
And you're always there doing what you do.
Yeah, I mean, that's
You're doing your own thing. You're doing your own work. You saw your therapist today, and you told me everything that you said to her.
in other words, like every Jack Johnson song, basically. Like his are very safe, normal.
Yeah, he's just like, I want to eat pancakes with you.
Yeah,
I love you so much.
It's blueberry
I want to
pancakes.
surf and eat pancakes.
Everything's better
and I'm
with
doing
you.
this out of my love, not because we had a fight last night.
Yeah. That like there's that one song of his that's like, I only think about you when I masturbate.
I don't know the song, but I'm guessing he works in there.
Banana pancake batter. I only think of you when I
Mix up
touch
on the
myself.
Yeah. You just feel so great. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That seems like it could be a Jack Johnson song, but
And Jack Johnson is already such a dirty name. How is he not something else?
Yeah.
He's Jack and his Johnson, but
Yes.
to his wife only.
wow. I've never thought about that.
I didn't either. I thought you meant
But,
like the boxer, the old boxer Jack Johnson.
I don't know him. No, I'm not a dude. I don't know that.
You mean you're not a guy that's almost 50?
No, I've dated MMA fighters. That's about it.
Have you?
Yeah.
Were they nice?
Yeah. And he barely had any cauliflower ear, which is solid. I'm like, I'll get my veggies somewhere else.
Got him early.
But he had broccoli shins.
Yeah, that's right.
Early career fighter. Yeah. Every MMA or like serious
Or he's
fighter.
a boxer.
Or he's a boxer. Yeah, they don't get the year.
Yeah, he likes to maybe do more punching and kicking
They get
than
more
rolling and hugging.
If you've ever seen like a cat just really go in on a cat toy, that's what MMA fighting looks like because it's just and just like the
Yeah.
legs too. It's like they curl around them like a cat toy.
Yeah, my cousin did that, and I watched it once. I couldn't do it anymore. One, because it's a family member, so you're getting really involved, and he loved getting hit in the face.
He liked it.
Dude. He loved it. Like it was, and I mean,
Why do you think I was dating that one? Yeah, of course.
I mean, we were sitting there, and
We'll
his
get into your
brother was
kinks in
there,
a
and I was like, hey man, I can't watch him just get the shit beat out of him. He goes, nah, give it a minute. I was like, he's just getting riled up, and I was like, looks like he's getting the fuck. And he goes, watch him now, and he knew at about 15 punches to the head, he just fucking snapped.
Yeah.
And just took this guy. I mean, it took probably 90 seconds for him to destroy this guy.
That's that adrenaline.
It was wild.
So, MMA fighting has come a long way in the last 30 years. But about 15, 16 years ago, I went to some amateur MMA fights in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And holy shit, everything they were doing, it has to be illegal now.
Oh, dude, the amateurs it is the best. I've been to some straight up in a bar fights, like, not sanctioned, but, like organized fights in a bar. That is the most fun. That is the trashiest.
It's like
dumbest.
backyard wrestling
man.
shit.
And they
So
take it so
No
serious.
fish hooking. No fish
This
hooking.
one guy fought 4 dudes.
Whoa.
And at
Same
one
time?
point, no,
Okay.
just like in a row.
Okay.
Like he whooped the shit out, and then because there wasn't fighters for like 3 of the guys, so one guy's like, "I'll just beat the fuck out of everybody." But then they still needed more fights, so they go, "Hey, anybody in the crowd think they can fight this motherfucker?
Love that shit. That's the bars I want to
Call to
drink.
action.
This wasn't a
Audience
bar.
participation. It's not quite what you get with a magician or a comedian. They're like, you know what? Actually, I was kind of looking to get beat the fuck out. Like,
It's a high school gym.
Oh, this
Like
just
kind
keeps
of
getting better.
it's like a 4-H club or something. It's not a bar. It's not a bar, but people are drinking
club.
drinking heavily.
probably coolers.
You know, they only sell 5 beers that come in tall cans and they're cheap as fuck. And but anyways, they're like, does anybody out of the crowd want to come? And this guy that's been just yelling, calling this guy a pussy for the last 3 fights is like ready to go. Thing is, this guy is very old. He's like in his 50s. He's out of shape. He's got a big beer gut, and he is shit-faced. And I'm like, there is no way.
2 of those things are going to work in his favor, though.
Yeah.
Getting shit faced, you'll go
You're
limp
gonna
at just the
feel
right
nothing.
time, and that beer gut, that's just padding. That's just.
But I'm like, there's no way in hell that they're going to let this guy go fight. And this guy that he's going to fight is a monster. He's literally just like torn the heads up. Like these 3 fights that have happened before this have all lasted under a minute. Like this guy is like, but this guy's drunk and he's just been in the stands like, I could fuck that guy up, you know? And he walks down there and they start that fight, and 3 seconds into the fight, that dude kicks that drunk guy in the face, and the guy is fucking lights out.
Oh, I thought for sure this was going to end with the drunk guy somehow just kicking
I was
his
hoping the
fucking
drunk
ass.
guy.
No, dude, he was hammered.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that makes sense.
Dude, it was just like
But
it
you're
was
a good storyteller,
See, the
and I
thing
was like,
was, is
you're
that-
really building the tension on this.
Originally, it was 1 against 4, but for that drunk guy, he was like, I'm seeing 5 of you. I can't do any of this.
But yeah, I was just like, holy shit, I can't believe. And yeah, the guy was fucking like knocked the fuck out, man. And then they were like, does anybody else want to fight him?
Everybody shut the fuck up real quick.
I really would have loved it if the drunk won. Just
Oh,
the
me
idea
too,
of
me
he's
too.
so sloppy at that point, and they're like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "Bush Light."
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the dude Tank Abbott from the early UFC stuff?
Yeah.
And then he went became a professional wrestler for a while.
I remember the name.
I wasn't born then.
He, dear God, so Pearl Jam was on, and no, but he is. Everybody loved him because he was that dude. He was like the UFC. It was like guys are coming in gis, and then some of them are just ripped. And this guy, goatee, just looked white trash. Just came in beer gut, and he would just wreck everybody. He would kill
dude.
people until UFC advanced, where people were actually training and like conditioning, and then this dude was just gassed, and he,
Oh yeah. Well, at first UFC was no rules, and then there was
Yeah.
like a guy that just punched someone in the dick the whole round, and they were like, "All right, no more dick punching.
Yeah.
You can't dick punch anymore."
Yeah, totally.
Because he's just like, "Oh yeah, bam, bam, bam," right in the guy's dick, and the guy's like, "I'm
said it was
tapping,
okay.
I'm tapping."
Such combo mashing. It's just such.
one move. I got one.
He's
move.
like,
That's fun. I have one more fight story. I have it was a friend of a friend in Peoria, Illinois, that I just like.
Is that where you're from?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Home of the jukebox.
Yeah, jukebox. Home of Richard
Yeah,
Pryor.
home of Richard Pryor.
I finally put up a statue, a bronze statue now.
Really?
Finally, yeah. It took like 15 years ago. They finally
Yeah.
put that. But this guy, great story. This dude was like a real scrawny dude in high school, and he just got the shit kicked out of him by all these people. He just got picked on a lot. He joined the Marine Corps. He came back, I think, 8 years later, and he literally went around and found every guy that ever beat him up and kicked the fuck out of him. So this is a real story, and this is like, and so I know this guy from work, and he's really cool. And he was like a part-time firefighter, and we were working at a restaurant. And I just knew you could just, but he's one of those dudes. Like the vibe was, you don't fuck with this guy. You could just tell.
Yeah.
So he does one of these bar fight things, and we all go. And he goes in, and they had boxing gloves, so they go in, they put on the gloves, and it was just like you were talking about. The guy against him comes up and just starts hitting him, and he's just getting hit a lot, and then he leans up against the corner, and the guy's just pounding him from behind. There's like no rules, so he's just
I love
hitting him in
that.
the back of the head. And I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, I
Yeah.
thought this guy was going to kill. And he fucking, like, our buddy looks up and he looks out at us and he goes, while he's getting hit, he gives us one of these, like, nods, like, watch this. And then just fucking destroys him.
Yeah.
And it was just the same vibe of, like, everyone was like, fuck this. Oh, shit. And everybody was just like,
Yeah.
all right. But it was wild.
My old roommate Chris knew this guy, and it was kind of a sad story. His ex-wife had been cheating on him, like, for a long term, and he was like a family guy, pretty nice dude. And after that, he knew the guy that she left him for, and he goes, "Hey, man, I get it, but I just want you to know, every time I see you past this day, I'm gonna fuck you up," and that's it. And Chris and him were at a bar.
Oh, man.
And that guy walked in and he goes, "Damn it." And he goes, what's the problem? He goes, "I got to go fuck that guy up real quick."
Oh, no.
And he goes, "What?" And he goes, "I told him. And a man's no good without his word." He goes, "I have a shot of Jack." Did that. And he goes, "I'll be back in a few minutes." And he goes, "Hey, man." The guy goes, "Fuck."
He just knew the
Yeah,
deal.
he knew. He goes, "I got to fuck you up, right?" And he
schedule
goes,
time.
"Yeah."
It popped up on my Google
Yeah.
calendar.
Google Calendar, time to get fucked up.
Crap.
Yeah, he's like, the worst thing is, man, we both drink here every Friday.
Yeah.
No one, they don't want to change at all. They love that bar.
I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving.
God damn it. I got to get a different shift.
If all I got to do is get beat up for 5 minutes, to drink for the rest of the night.
I'm just so glad I'm not a fighter, and I don't want to.
Were you ever a fighter?
I've been in a bunch of fights, but I never wanted to
Yeah,
be.
I don't think I have a good enough dental health to be a fighter.
No, man, it's bad news. Like, it never is good.
Yeah.
And the fights I've won, I've like and I'm talking like my last fight was like I was in my early 20s, right?
Yeah.
So they're mostly childhood fights, but maybe out of 20 fights since grade school, maybe I won half. And I felt way worse when I won.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Well, that's
just awful.
unfortunate too, because you're a big guy, and a big guy at a bar, people always kind of want to prod.
Oh yeah, I got the target, but I years ago learned that it's just so easy to just be friendly and be kind of like, damn, you're
Yeah.
Escalate it.
you're a jacked motherfucker. I just compliment my way out
Yeah.
of it, I'm just like, ink out.
You're a little ripped dude.
It's always the little guys too. And the little guy, anytime a little guy comes up to me in a bar and wants to fuck with me, I'm like, this guy knows something I don't, because I'm a huge dude.
Yeah.
I know how I look.
He's got a trick. He's going to put his
Yeah.
pinky in here and you're going to go
Yeah,
down.
So those are the guys I'm
Yeah.
like,
And that's when they
definitely
fuck you.
Oh no. So weird. Are you guys have any of you guys been in fights, like fist fights?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in a couple of attacks. Where
Like you were attacked?
No. Like, I literally have just broken up a fight and literally
Yeah.
had a couple snaps. I smashed a guy's head up against a bumper several times. And at the point I was done, he was looking at me and I was looking at him, and I was like, "Hey man, just stay there."
So you just third partied the dude?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Was it
100%.
like one of your friends or something?
Yeah, so what happened is the bar fight started. No. He was, my friend and him had gotten into an argument, and my buddy was taking a piss, and the bartender goes, he goes, "You got to leave. They're already out of here." And I was like, "God damn it, it's been so long." My buddy John was using the bathroom. They told the other guy, there's 2 exits to the bar. And the guy's like, "Well, where the fuck is he?" And he goes, "Just leave there. He's already gone." He goes, "Oh, so we went out the other door?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "What the fuck?" And the guy bolts out and runs around the back of the bar. I go out the back. As John's pissing, he comes up and just clocks him in the back of the head. And I'm like, "Dude,
Dirty.
what the fuck?" And so I'm
that's
trying to...
that's a fucking, you can't
Dirty
punch a
trick.
man when
Yeah.
his dong's out.
No.
So I'm literally
Yeah,
trying
you're
to
right,
split them up, because I know that the bar's already called the cops. They're on their way. We're both, all 3 of us are loaded. And so as I'm pushing him up, the dude fucking wings back and catches my nose with his fucking elbow. And I don't know what happened. I just grabbed him by his head, and fucking the next thing I know, when I came out, I'd probably got him a good 17 times on that bumper.
17.
That's
I
a count.
fucking went. Yeah. And I told him, I was like, "If you get up, I will kill you."
Yeah.
I know that. I'm so pissed right now.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's what the scariest thing is. Like that shit is. We all have those instincts, and some people
Protect.
it gets
Dude, that's-
unlocked easier than others.
Well, that's the thing. Somebody threw when that fight started. The weirdest part of that night was I saw somebody threw a fucking ashtray. One of them threw an ashtray at the other one, and when it happened, my adrenaline was so high. I saw the ashtray go in slow motion, and then I think John hit the guy.
Oh, Neo.
Or somebody else hit him. And I was so confused because everything was moving so slow that I was like, it doesn't even look like you're really was hit that hard.
Are you even trying?
Yeah. And John was like, no, he got me fucking hard. And I was like, oh, dude, adrenaline's real.
Yeah, it's like fighting in a swimming pool is what you were watching. Like
Right.
you were on super speed and they were just trying to.
It was
Get their
really
punches
bizarre. I mean, but that's adrenaline was so high that I mean, I saw that guy and I was like, this is okay. I mean, he punched him right in front of me. I was just right there.
Oh god damn.
So do you think you could have like dodged bullets?
No, I mean, let's be realistic. But I have been in situations where I can see, like, I've seen things coming at me like slower than the person realizes.
No, that's a thing that people have where things slow down in a traumatic moment.
Yeah.
I always have the opposite dream where
Oh,
I'm in a
where
fight
you're
and I'm just like
in the
"Oh,
fucking mud
no."
punch?
and or I'll hit somebody and they'll just be like, "Heh," and they'll just kill me. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's awful. Like once or twice a year, I'll have those kind of dreams.
Yeah.
They're terrifying.
So, Liv, have you ever punched a guy with his dick out?
Against their will.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm
I had
usually
to get paid for it.
Usually getting paid for it, right? No, I've broken up a couple fights. Actually, one of our friends, a comedian friend of ours, Kevin O'Brien.
Oh, yeah.
Great story.
Saved his life on his birthday.
Oh, no.
Which is like, if you save someone's life on their birthday, you get extra heaven points. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
You own their
That's-
soul. Like,
Exactly.
his
Is
soul belongs
that
to you now.
the fight where Kevin pretended he was dead?
Yeah, that's the fight.
Well, okay,
He
what
left
happened?
me. He left me there. It
Was that here in Denver?
That was in New York.
Okay.
It was a comedy show. He would be bartending. It was his birthday. We were hanging out. There were some guys who came through late. You know, they weren't doing much, and then we were trying to close it down. And one of the guys came behind the bar and grabbed the iPad for more music. And Kevin's like, "No, my dude, we're done with music." And so this is all about him wanting to play. I don't know, not ABBA, but I want to say ABBA.
Kevin? The guy, well, because Kevin plays a lot of ABBA.
Of course, and he's like more ABBA. So, but we were trying to weed him off. We were trying to get him out for the night, and he was just like, "No, we're not playing music anymore." So this drunk guy, I'd only serve him one drink. He started swinging at Kevin, and by the way, he didn't land not one punch. And it's like it's one of those things where you're like, "Come on, my dude, like center yourself,
Yeah.
figure out where it is."
Take a breath.
Yeah. Come on, you know who the fuck Jack Johnson is?
Yeah, you gotta jack your Johnson, my dude. But he chased Kevin behind the bar. He was still trying to swing, and Kevin ended up tripping on one of the bar mats. And that's what the fight was, really.
Yeah.
There was no real punching. But there were three, the guy who was doing all this, there were three guys on the other side of the bar. They just saw their friend doing some random shit, and they started throwing chairs.
Whoa.
Thank God. Yeah, no, there were
So
two
the
guys.
drunk guy's
Crazy.
swinging,
Yeah.
and then their friends are like, guess we're wrecking this joint.
I guess,
Yeah.
they
So-
were just so ready for it. No words were spoken, no eye contact. They were
I've
just,
heard a lot of accounts of this story, but I
Yeah.
didn't know people started throwing chairs.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I know, for real. But I had two of the guys at the bar who were trying to hook up with me. Thank God they're my bodyguards. You know? I'm like, deal.
They're literally
with that.
deflecting chairs. Just
Yeah.
going, "Tsh."
A couple of Tinder dates to the rescue.
Exactly.
That's
You always
so
have to
funny.
have one around as a bartender if you're bartending alone. You just gotta be like, no, just wait until the end of my shift. Anyways, I'm super tired. I have to go.
I mean, obviously, like these guys are such pieces of shit, but
Right.
you gotta love. Some part of you has to love the fact that their buddy
were there
was
for them.
doing something stupid, and they were like, "Fucking throwing these chairs."
Yeah.
I'm backing them up
They
somehow.
didn't need to know what it was about. He's
Yeah.
like, are you telling me we can't play ABBA? I will wreck this place.
Yeah.
I mean,
man.
Yeah.
That's a deep friendship.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. There's been plenty of times in my life where I've had to leave a bar with a friend, and I'm like, "Fuck this place," and in the back of my head, I'm like, "You're so fucking wrong, dude.
Yeah.
I've been there.
You're
I've
so
been there.
fucking wrong, dude. Like, god damn it. Like, they were gonna beat your ass."
Yeah.
But you gotta have that for yourself. You gotta have that mirror talk.
Yeah, you got to have your friends back, even if they're, if it's something harmless. But, it's not like anybody was getting killed for real.
Fuck them. They were so on the right. It's like, fuck those assholes.
And we all know Kevin's got a pretty smart mouth on him. He probably didn't de-escalate it, I would guess.
Hiker and I were on the road around the time that this happened. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we talked to you on the phone or something, maybe. But we had brunch with Kevin's brother in Kansas. And Kevin's brother is cool as fuck. I had never really met him before, but he was just like telling the story from like his dad, like hearing about it and being like, yep, that's my son. He played dead.
Because that's what happened.
He played dead in a fight.
He like hit his head. Yeah.
I forgot about that part.
I thought he was dead. I thought he was for real dead.
But yeah, just to hear, like, and I can't remember how it went, but just like the way it started, I was just like, yeah, fucking Kevin playing dead in a fight.
That's my boy.
That's Kevin.
Jeez, so he tripped on the mat and then just stayed on the ground.
Well,
Yeah.
he did not. He hit his head, and he did. But then he played dead. And the guy who was behind the bar, he was trying to kick him. I was playing foosball goalie. I was just getting in between there, and I was screaming at the other guys. I got 4 dudes, burly ass dudes, out, and I grabbed the dude, the one behind the bar, by the hood of his hoodie, and I'm like, "No, we're done with this. You gotta go. This is not cool of you guys. This is very not cool."
For just a split second, I thought you meant you were playing foosball. Like you said that, and I
Also
was like,
playing
"Well,
foosball.
you should have stopped playing
I was
foosball."
not
Yeah.
gonna. I have to finish my game.
I also
This
love.
cost
It's a
75
heated
cents.
game.
I also love that the way you tell this story, you're just like a cartoon character. You're like, I was playing goalie, and then I grabbed him by his hoodie.
Yeah. And he was all like, "Oh, whoop, whoop, whoop."
Liv's good under fire, though. She is.
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen it in action. You keep a cool head.
Gotta, yeah. No, it's
Well-
what gets me high at the end of the day is what it is. I like to break shit up. I do.
We've started being cool young. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Born
true.
this way.
Yeah.
Born with a leather jacket.
Yeah. I'm hoping to be cool in my 50s. I'm going for eventually, 50s.
You're so
Yeah?
there. You're so there. You're cooler than a 50-year-old. You're at least cooler than most of the
Thanks. I
50-year-olds.
got one more year.
Yeah.
Wow, you're that close.
Birthday is next week for 49.
Next
Wow.
week.
Yeah. Or, sorry, 2 weeks. Yeah. Going to the sand dunes.
Oh.
Have you been?
Yeah. Many times. I started liking EDM music on
There's
mushroom
specific
goodness,
pieces
man,
of sand that I like to go see there.
I saw every grain of sand one night. That was cool.
Man, you go down during like a new moon. Those stars have to be amazing. We were going to go at the end of the month, and I think we're going to push a little bit later. Marciana started looking at the temperatures, and she was like, I can't. I
Yeah.
don't think I can do that.
Is it still? I haven't even looked yet, but as long as it's not like super snowy, then it'll be cool.
Yeah,
if it's snowy, then you're messing.
So there's I can't think of what it is. It's the Spanish word for shoe. But there's a falls. There's a falls.
Zapato?
Yeah, Zapato Falls. So Zapato Falls.
I literally thought El Shoe.
Yeah, El Shuo.
Yeah.
But Zapato. So
Botas?
you can you can camp at Zapato Falls, and the campgrounds are only $11, but you have to haul in. There's no water, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like
And you have to live in a shoe with an old woman.
yeah. But in the summer, there's a giant waterfall. So in the wintertime, it's all frozen over, so it'd look nice. But
Oh yeah.
Icicle sculpture.
yeah, but
Beautiful.
somebody came into the store today, and that's what they went and did this weekend. And he's like, Jesus Christ, it was like 9 degrees. We got like 1.5 feet of snow, and I'm like, yeah, you got to check the weather, man.
Yeah. Well, if you go down there when it's warmer too, I think it's about a half hour away. There's the Orient Land Trust hot springs, and it's a bunch of land, and it's all clothing optional, and it's all hiking, and it's all totally natural.
Nice.
I haven't been, but I've heard that it sounds like really, really, really cool.
Yeah, and if you go north of that area, you hit Crestone, which is real bizarre.
I've heard about Crestone,
Yeah.
but I've never.
Yeah, Crestone is where the mother god was.
Yeah,
Did you watch that shit?
I have not watched it yet,
What is that?
What?
but I know
The
about
mother
it.
god.
There's a documentary on HBO.
So there was this woman that was like basically told all these people that she was the mother god and like God on earth, and and they were all, you know, some people were into it, and like I'm watching these videos and I'm like, fuck yeah, this is just a fun drunk lady.
And she definitely was drunk.
Oh yeah, she's like hammered in all the videos, and she's like, I'm the mother god, and I'm like, this is just like I'd party with this
Beautiful
lady.
charisma.
Also-
She's
Yeah,
like,
Also, is it that easy to start
I'll
a
call her
cult?
that.
Just get drunk and start demanding that you're God. And
Basically, that's
it?
all you got to do. And then they were YouTube stars, and they had a store where they were selling colloidal silver.
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest problems. Colloidal silver at small amounts can be beneficial. They were chugging this shit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's what turned
They
her
had
blue.
Ingesting?
They had access. It was like the dealer, you know. They could, you know, they were doing too much of their own supply.
God, I'll swallow a nickel once in a while, but that's good for me.
Yeah, a good party trick.
I mean, when
Yeah.
the woman died, she was literally blue.
She was like a Smurf.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets real weird because they didn't get rid of the body. Instead, they just decorated it like a fucking Christmas tree, and
Well-
people would still go in.
I love that that's where it gets weird.
yeah.
That's where it starts.
It got weirder.
She died on the east or on the west coast, like in Oregon, and then they drove her all the way back to Crestone.
Real
And
Weekend at Bernie's situation.
Oh yeah, no, so much so where they got pulled over on the way to Denver, and they had her wrapped up in the back, and they're just like, "Oh, she's sleeping."
No
and the
shit.
cop just fucking sent them on their merry fucking way. But it's really funny because like some of the like she had a few devout followers, but you can cast a wide net with the internet, I think, is what she did, and she managed to find. But the one woman was like, "Yeah, her boyfriend had just broke up with her. She's not very stable." Like, it's just like, you know, like she's like, "Yeah, my daughter was just kind of like looking for anything," and this lady's like, "I'm Mother God," and she's like, "Oh yeah, you are." You know?
Adds up. Yeah,
She was
makes
looking for a
sense.
mother. She was looking for a guy.
Checks out.
yeah. She's
That-
like,
any-
"I needed something."
One
so.
and two.
But I think
But
there
they
was
were
also
like-
a lot of hard drugs. I think there was a lot of amphetamines going on
It
too.
helps.
So there wasn't amphetamines going on. There was the one guy that she started dating that she actually got mad at him because he did meth, but they were doing a lot of like ecstasy and mushrooms and fucking drinking a ton and smoking a shitload of weed. So yeah, part of her like God thing was that like these things make you feel good, and Mother God's like, let's feel good, baby.
That sounds like my kind of religion.
You do all
Yeah.
three of those drugs at any time. You're going to call yourself Mother God. You're like, I am one with.
Anytime I hear about cults, I always think of, I don't know if you guys are fans of The Office, but Creed in The Office always said, I've been in a number of cults. You have more fun as a follower, but you make more money as a leader.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
I always felt like it's just a group of people that have a singular belief until somebody gets killed. Then it's a cult.
Well, and it's also
You all have a
always
secret together.
Yeah.
Like it's a sleepover when you're
Yeah.
in ninth grade. Ugh.
Kill,
It's like
killed
the
or
Manson
fucked.
secret. It feels
Killed
like
or
the
fucked.
same.
Killed or
Stakes.
fuck. And it's the early days of cults are awesome. You just got to
Dude.
get in early and know when to get out. Because
Yeah.
they always turn. There's always a point where
are like
all of a
Also
sudden.
sounds like the stock market.
Yeah, yeah.
is true.
I mean, it's great.
It's like a pyramid scheme.
As soon as the guy, and it's always a guy, says, well, now I'm the only one that should be having sex. That's when you got to get out right then. Because
Well,
the
that's
party's
like
over.
the Manson family. Part of that was probably a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really having a wild time out there. And then when he was like, this guy doesn't want to play my fucking music, so we're gonna go kill this dude. And that's
You
when
guys
you're
want
like,
to kill pigs? Like,
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna go.
You know, you look like Jesus, but I don't
Kosher,
really
don't do
like the
bacon.
fact we're playing this. I don't like theater so much.
Yeah, man. That's a crazy story. I read his like autobiography. He had like a writer help him, but I read this when I was young before I knew anything about him. It was the first thing I really read. And by the end of it, I was like, you know what? Charlie's a victim. Charlie's a victim here.
Dude.
That story was very well told. It's super interesting. And I mean, he did go through horrific abuse as a kid and all of this,
Yeah.
but
Well, his mom
then
was-
I found out more and I was like, oh, well. I mean,
Yeah. Well, his mom was like a kind of like a prostitute. Didn't really want it much to do with him. He was in and out of the prison system, I think, at the
Yeah.
early ages of like 12 or 14.
violently raped many,
Yeah.
many times.
And it was it's so terrible, but what a fascinating character
Oh,
in the
yeah.
courtroom.
yeah.
I mean,
oh, my God.
Even
yeah.
to the older points when he would go, "What do I got to be outside for, huh? Sex? There's plenty of that in here."
Yeah, dude.
That's a man who will flip it and twist it. He's like, I'm living my best life wherever I am.
He's still in like the 90s. He was still doing interviews where he was just saying crazy shit.
The Halloween Barbara Walters specials were my favorite. When he would be talking to her, he would be somewhat normal.
She'd be like, "Hi, Charlie,"
and then it would just snap.
That was an unexpectedly awesome Barbara Walters.
Charlie, so
Have any of you read the book Chaos?
No.
So this is the best, absolute best nonfiction book I've ever read in my life. But now we are really turning this into a Joe Rogan podcast because we've talked about fights for like 20 minutes and then this. But
cults.
It's this dude. I won't, like, it's a really long story, but this dude was a journalist about 20 years ago. He got the job to write an article for like Vanity Fair about like the, whatever it was, the 30th, 40th, whatever anniversary. Started uncovering things. Ruined his life, literally lost everything in pursuit of these things that he started to unravel. And he found brand new evidence. He has hard evidence that the government was completely involved with Manson, that they were funding him, that they were giving the LSD, that they had this whole plan. Hard evidence. I'm telling you, it is one of the most fascinating books.
So it's like a deep dive into like MK Ultra, like that situation?
All of that was connected. So Manson was connected. The same people that were involved with MK Ultra were involved with him.
Well, it is fascinating how historically, when the Manson murders happened, you can follow that to the end of that movement. Like the whole free love, summer of love, hippie movement died when that Tate LaBianca murder happened.
well,
Which is also when the government stopped feeding him acid, they were feeding it to everyone, and then they stopped it. And there's a direct correlation with the timelines on all of that shit. It's crazy, crazy shit.
well, you brought up something that Kyle wanted to talk about on the pod.
I don't remember this now.
You said that you were going to set us monogs straight,
Oh, yeah, we want to talk about that polytime.
but free love,
Yeah.
as far as hippies go, do you believe in free love?
Yeah. I guess what's... Before I patently agree on record, what's your definition of free love?
I don't know.
I believe in what I think everybody kind of thinks of free love as is like open, non-possessive sexuality.
Yeah.
I think that's generally, but love goes way beyond that, and I believe in that shit being free too, for sure.
So with your lifestyle, is it more a lifestyle and then you have love separate from...
Tell the listeners a little bit about your lifestyle first.
Okay, so and the reason, I don't know if you know this, but you guys, I listened to your Stroop episode where you interviewed Derek Stroop, and you guys all I heard you guys all have a discussion about non-monogamy, and you all came to this agreement. You could almost hear you guys all be like, okay, we got that figured out, about how like it doesn't work, you've never seen it work and all that, which I totally get. I'm not like blasting that, but the whole time I was thinking, well, I got a fucking story for you.
Yeah.
I'm deep in it for many years, very happy.
I can't remember if it was
very much love.
I can't remember if it was at the Dose or where it was the last time I saw you when you were like, hey, I'd love to come on that podcast and let you know what's going on.
Was that way back then too?
I can't remember.
All right. Yeah, maybe. Okay.
It might have been.
Well, because I do really
here are
do
these chocolates. I'm going to go dance with these girls.
As much as I don't want this to be like, I don't want to be like the non-monogamy guy. I like talking about it because I do like normalizing it. And
but that's always the thing is like speaking about polyamory, people are like, well, you don't want me to be fucking this one girl for forever. And it's like, no, you go ahead. You go ahead. Just don't get mad when I'm doing way more than that.
When I'm don't get mad at me when I'm also fucking this girl.
Yeah, your wife, right? Yeah. That's where the problem is.
Right.
Well, and I mean, I always tell people it's just like stand-up comedy in that my first year in comedy and non-monogamy, I was like, this is great, everybody should do it.
Yeah.
And then 1 year in, I'm like, don't fucking do it. Just don't. But you're not going to be good at it. It's going to suck. It's going to be really hard.
Listen, you're going to bomb way more than you want.
Yeah.
Well,
I really thought you were going to be like, it's just like comedy where you're like, fuck, but don't steal my bits.
Well, I think that was kind of the conclusion, though, that we all came to, is that, like, we have a hard enough time, like, being you know, like having one relationship and like that takes a lot of energy, just having one relationship, where we were like, fuck, having all these relationships, like I don't know if I have the energy for that.
It was so incredibly hard. Like, had I known what it was going to be like and I could have chosen, I wouldn't have chosen it because the effort was Herculean. But I didn't.
How long have you been in an open relationship?
So I've been
like 10 years, right?
No. So I've been with Evan, my fiance, for just about 7.5 years. We became open, non-monogamous 4 years ago.
That's still fairly fresh.
4 years ago, and then that was like we kind of got into it, and it was just kind of like weird sex stuff, right? We just wanted to have some like
have some fun.
We had a threesome, and I was like, all right, like I definitely want to do a lot more of that, but also I know I've always hated monogamy, and every relationship I've been in some really amazing, loving relationships. But after whatever period of time, I'm always just like
bored.
I don't like this. I want these other things, but I would always hate myself for it, like so badly. Because like, why can't I just, be like this and love one person and not be a piece of shit? So when we kind of did these things and I opened and I realized this is possible, I had this like hard talk where I was like, I know that I can't stay monogamous. I'm gonna cheat. I've cheated in every relationship. Then I go back, I admit it, I feel like fucking shit, and then the relationship unravels and it all starts over again. And I didn't want to do that because Evan is the love of my fucking life for sure. So luckily she went along for the ride. And then
So was this your idea that was pitched in, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I mean it was kind of her idea. She initiated the threesome.
Okay.
And then I was just like, okay, but I like for real, like I want to live this way. This is like who I am.
Did the threesome come after you had kind of opened up to her about your inability to be monogamous?
So weirdly, I got out of a 12-year marriage right before we met. Or we actually met, but nothing was going on between us. And then shortly after marriage dissolved, a few months later, we started seeing each other. And I told her when I got out of the marriage, I told myself, never again, no monogamy. I know that I can't do it. And I told her that, and she was like, well, that doesn't fucking work for me. And we had this big night of me being like, well, fucking, there's the door, I mean, it was just not like I wasn't a dick, but we were crying, and it was awful. She wouldn't concede, and I wouldn't concede. And then the next day I woke up, and I was just like, oh, no, I'm like blowing the greatest thing ever. So I called her. I was like, I'll do it ever. And then a couple years later, I was just like, man, I know I'm going to fuck up. I know I'm going to ruin this, so I can't. So we did that, and then it was just like sexual. It wasn't like polyamory. It wasn't like loving relationships. But then a couple of years ago, we opened up to that. We met another couple who we've been dating. We're part of what's called a quad, and that's been going on for like 2.5 years.
And can you explain the difference between what is just just sexual, right? So it's just fun, and now you're in this loving quad, I'm assuming. So what does that difference look like? And how did that get incorporated from what was just like maybe, for lack of a better term and not to be offensive, but like when you just move past orgies?
Yeah. And so it was like we were like,
don't discount those. Don't discount orgies.
I'm not discounting it. I'm just trying
I'll be the first to say I have not moved past orgies at all.
They can be incorporated.
Big fan.
Are you also in?
I had a really
Okay.
I had a really funny dream about an orgy once, and
The band?
No, I was at an orgy and the door rang, and I went and got it, and it was Corey Rhodes, and he had brought flowers.
He just gives one to every person there, and at a certain point, he just starts giving petals out.
Holy shit! Next orgy, I'm bringing flowers. What a great idea!
I had to do a show with them a few weeks later where I had to intro him. I'm like, this next guy's so nice that when I dream about him, he brings flowers to an orgy. Give it up for Corey Rhodes, everybody.
I got to point out something really funny. When you said the band orgy, nobody else caught it. I looked at you, and you gave me one of those comedians like, they can't all be home runs.
Right.
Somebody had to say it.
Yep.
I just nodded in the way that I'm like, I know that's something. I know that.
Oh, you know the
It's like
band,
that
though.
boxer.
Oh, yeah. So, I guess the when we met, Willie and Ashley are their names, and we met them because it was basically like we'd meet friends like through. I was lucky enough to kind of meet these people early on that were really cool, kind of introduced me to the scene, and that's what it kind of is. It's like the swinger scene. It's like you're friends with people, and you have sex at parties and stuff, but you're just friends. Everybody high fives, goes about their day, and you're like cool friends. You do other shit together too.
You get a fruit platter. You share it.
We would have barbecues, and then we'd have barbecues, and then when like the vanilla people went home, we'd be like, all right, so let's pop them off,
Yeah.
But so we met Willie and Ashley, and we'd instantly just became
Is there like a lever you flip when the vanilla people? I like you just hit a
neon
light.
light.
And it's like then black lights come on. Fucking.
It's disco.
It's definitely
disco.
black lights.
It just lights up.
But you want to turn the black lights off, usually in the hotels that the orgies are at.
Yeah, black lights are not going to be your friend in
Yeah.
those situations. But when we met them, we just clicked really incredibly as friends, and nothing happened between any. Like we didn't even kiss for like 6 weeks or something, and then started just kind of having the same friendship with sex relationship. And then about 6 months in, we just spent all of our time together, just because we all wanted to. It was
So, what
really
was
cool.
your first 4-way kiss like?
I'm pretty sure that we did that. I mean, how would you not? Right? We had to have done that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we did that. I've done a couple of those.
No, I
Those are
like the
cool.
idea that
I'll do it right here. Those are fun, man. They're non-sexual. They're just
Oh,
weird.
they're so
and
sweet.
cool.
There's not enough lip space. It's all cheek,
you're just
really.
Yeah,
but then it just developed into love.
Everyone goes into the center, and then at the point you realize, you're like, all right, everyone back to their corner of the ring.
Yeah, it's chicken. Whoever lasts the longest.
But then we had to like sit down and have a conversation. Like when I weirdly had the hardest time with the love part. Like the sexual freedom just made sense to me.
Right.
But I was very emotionally like monogamous, and so when I realized that was happening, I had a really hard time. I had a 2-day panic attack, nonstop panic attack for 2 days when I was like, oh, they're in love. And then we had to have this long, and then it was fucking so much work.
So it's always weird, the first time someone says, I love you.
To your fiance while you're in the same room and they're naked. No, that's
Well, no, but I mean, like, how did you discover that you were all in love with each other? Like, was it like you had a meeting? You're like, hey, so have you guys
I'll
thought
say it if you
about
say it.
maybe,
Well,
And
or did somebody just
We all
say it
say it.
accidentally, and they were like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that, and then you all talked about it, and were like, you know what, maybe we do. Like, yeah, how did
There was
it
a
all?
lot of I like you.
Because you all say I love you
the
to each
dinner
other,
you made.
right?
Oh yeah.
Like when?
Yeah, yeah.
How did that
around it.
happen?
Well, we were all on Molly.
Pause.
Oh, that helps.
Molly.
We went
Molly
up
help
to-
you love a wall.
We drank the Kool-Aid, the good one.
We got a cabin up in Estes Park for like a weekend getaway, and that was the weekend that we all kind of started to realize it. It was just like an awesome weekend of like intimacy and sex and nature and whatever. So we all kind of were like, this is like happening, but nothing intense. And then a couple months later, we were all on Molly, or I was definitely on Molly, but we just were hanging out at their house. And I fell asleep on the couch, and I remember just kind of like waking up and overhearing Evan, my fiance, and Willie talking, and they didn't say anything. It was just, I could just tell. I was just like, the way they were, I was like, oh, that's fucking love.
And you didn't have any of
just
that,
like
like
having a panic attack.
Okay, so-
like I
'cause
went
there's
into
that-
a panic.
where the heart drops.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. And I just like got up and I was like, hey, I got to go home, which wasn't unusual. Like sometimes she would stay there and I would go home.
Yeah.
So they were like, what? It's like 3 a.m. And I was like, I know, I just have to sleep in bed. I just totally hiding it. Got home, had a panic attack for 2 days. Evan like came home, figured it out, stayed by my side. It's just a fucking nightmare. But then, I just did the work. I knew in my heart that I wasn't against it. It was just a visceral reaction.
So let me ask you this: is it the fear, the panic attack comes in because it's the fear of losing the love from one person as it like the fear of the transitioning into another person, you being left behind?
Yeah.
Because that's honestly not the sex. That's my biggest fear of being in a group where it's just like, oh fuck, like you start realizing all the things you're unhappy about with yourself, and you go, "Oh, maybe I'm not as great as I thought I was." And clearly,
Dude,
But
everything you have
The
ever
work,
thought
yeah.
is maybe
Yeah.
wrong with you comes out, and
Yeah.
all those things. But what I've realized,
Well, yeah,
I also
you,
have a bad
you think
brain.
it's hard to fight with one person
I do
when
too.
three
Yeah.
people are ganging up?
it sounds like the 3 people ganging up might be enjoyable.
Yeah, that's part of the,
We
part of
gang
the
up in
want
a
of it
good
all.
way.
Yeah.
But no, that's it. But what I've learned since then is that 90% of the time when things go south, it's because you let the insecurity rule.
Right.
And then that just makes everything worse. You're like insecure, and then you start displaying insecurity, and you start accusing, and you start projecting, and all these things. When the real move is, and it's really hard, is to realize that love doesn't diminish that love if you don't make it or if they don't want it to. And they didn't.
So it's
Nobody was out to get me or any of that shit.
Yeah.
So all it took was 6, 8, 9 months of me figuring it out in my head, reading books, going to therapy, like, because I was determined I wasn't going to, like,
So you were in therapy to try to figure out how this quad would work.
yeah, specifically for that.
So
That's
is that a
beautiful.
polycule?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the quad, like a quad is, 4. Polycule is just referring to any, like, group beyond 2, I think.
Do you guys live together?
No, but we all live. Me and Bandy live separately
They have
now.
2 duplexes.
We decided to move out of living with each other, and it was the best decision ever. Like, totally rekindled the romance, and like we just were becoming too roommatey, and I hated it. So now we all live within 2 blocks of each other. So we have 3 houses between 4 people.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
The space alone.
it's the schedule, the calendar. It's just as hard.
Yeah,
as
this is
but
something
now we're
that I've
good.
always
like now. I'm
like
not good.
because Megan was in a play with this fella that I guess he is in like a big polycule with a lot of people, and it just sounded so complicated to me. Like there's a chart, and there's all these. Yeah, it just seems like a lot.
I don't know how those go, but I think that they're actually a little bit less complicated because when you have a lot of people, you just you can't have as deep of emotional connection.
You're also such an individual in those spaces, in a way.
Yeah, that's a better way.
Well, but also, I mean, on the love spectrum of everything, it would seem like you're involved in like everyone is like a family member, right? Like there's that type of.
I think it's too sexual to describe it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had that.
As a family.
I just had that conversation a couple days ago where the word does feel weird, but
feels-
but you're right. I mean, it's accurate.
It could
It's like a
well,
group of friends
Yeah,
but there's
who also fuck.
like family.
I'm more comfortable with that term,
Yeah.
but I know what
But
you're saying. and
what
it's
I'm getting
accurate,
at is like that trust factor
tree.
between people. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
and now
I
it's
used to
fucking
call
beautiful.
Megan and I and Shrek a family, but now that he's dead, we're just a couple.
Looking to adopt.
fucked up, man. That's fucked up.
Liv, how do you want to chime in on this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, how did you find your way into the poly lifestyle? And
Well, I consider myself single poly mostly.
can you describe that?
In the way that I interact with all of my relationships polyamorously.
Okay.
In the way that even if I'm, investing myself emotionally with a relationship or something like that, it's very much under the knowledge of polyamory, respect, and communication.
So you're kind of like free as a bird.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Breezy.
A bird that fucks all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
You've heard of a mockingbird.
Yeah.
That bird.
I'm
A woodpecker sounds about right. So, and there are times that I have gotten involved in and will get involved again. I was dating a couple for a little bit. And then we split ways, but that's because they were a couple before me. And then I joined in, and then we were enjoying each other. We were all friends. We were in that space where we were friends and we were hooking up, but it was also emotional and sexual. And then I started wanting to be like, okay, I'm feeling this way. I started taking them individually on dates. And then I asked for the girl to be my girlfriend, actually. And then they were having issues as a couple, and then they kind of parted ways and ghosted me in a way.
I feel like
Yeah.
fighting would be so difficult with more people, especially like in that situation. Like if you're like they're a couple before you got together, like that.
But I was integrated within it, It was
Yeah.
very Like, you know, you don't just call yourself a best friend to someone if you don't feel like that's something similar to each other.
But it seems like if you're involved in this, you probably know how to fight better than most people.
Yeah, I know.
Well, if you don't live together,
Yeah.
I've never been in a fight with Will and Ashley or either of them individually. Like we've had
You don't have
minor
arguments and
disagreements.
stuff?
Not really, because they're married. They're a couple. Me and Bandy are a couple, and we're all together.
So they
but
fight with each. So you and Bandy fight, and they fight.
me and Bandy fight. But I'm telling you, moving out, you just don't fight much when
Cuts
you're not
it in
living
half.
together. When you go back to like dating, but you've got that deep thing. I mean, it's the best thing I've ever done, and we like really miss living with each other. We really are
Right.
pissed that we're not living together, and that's exactly what I wanted.
Wow.
that longing, that want, that
yeah.
courage. Yeah. That,
But not to say we don't ever fight. We do, but so that we don't fight.
Well, you stay
like,
the
as-
night a lot, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
So it's basically you're just paying 2 rents.
Yeah, it's not smart, but it emotionally.
Yeah, you
it's-
should move into the other couple's basement, dude.
It's like a dirt crawl space. I don't think that's an option.
I'm kidding.
their
But I
attic.
just like, yeah. I'm too cheap for that. But
It's not a good idea. We're talking about getting like land, but I know for me, like now it's one of those things I've learned. I don't want to live in the same space unless that space is fucking plenty of room.
But if
I'm
you had
just
like
better. I'm a
if you
better
had like
person.
50 acres, and then you
Yeah.
all had like fucking
for
Yeah, Kyle's-
cabins.
I'll live in a van and fucking
yeah,
shower in the house.
Kyle just needs a big field to run around.
That's what I mean.
Like a golden retriever.
He needs a place to buck.
yeah, grazing.
He needs a fence to rub his back on.
Sure do.
Liv, when did you find out that that this was a lifestyle for you?
I don't know. I think I brought these ideas up. Well, I was just always wanting a threesome forever, from the get-go. So that was kind of something that guys that I was dating were like, oh, okay, I think I get this, until it was more emotional.
Oh, gotcha.
And I think that's the hurdle, because it's like, you know, dudes are always like, I'll watch you make out with a girl, no problem.
Yeah.
Until they're like, oh, you like her? Oh, no.
Well, yeah, because that's. I think the big complication there is obviously how the body's built. They're like, oh, well, I can't give you that, and then the ego starts to get into problems, and then your brain spirals, and then your heart's broke, and then you got a Facebook troll and figure out where they're at, where they work.
Stalk them a little. Stalk 'em a little.
Wait until another dude shows up. That's the biggest problem in the lifestyle community that I've seen is guys always think like, hell yeah, because every guy thinks, oh, this is just double blowjobs for the rest of my fucking life. Like, hell yeah. And then all of a sudden their chick wants to also hook up with a guy, and that's the hard line.
Yeah.
And then that's gross and stupid. And it ruins, I've seen it just wreck relationships.
Yeah,
Like, it's awful.
because of the ego of the man.
Yeah,
You think that's
almost
the-
always the man. Almost always in my experience.
I mean, I've been in open situations or like dated openly and done stuff like that. It's not really a jealousy issue for me, and I don't know. I think one thing that's interesting about life is that people can always change. But where I'm at, you know, there was a time in my life where I was definitely not looking for anything monogamous or whatever, but I'm happy with it right now. And, you know, if for some reason that changes, you know, I'm always, you know, it's any relationships, like you all know, is
evolve.
about communication too, you know? So
Yeah.
I think it's just about talking, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever. But,
Being
And it
honest.
has to, it made like, you
but
have
man,
to have
I'm
good
like listening to
communication.
both of you and I'm like, this sounds like a lot.
It is. It's not. It's
I
not.
want
Yeah.
a lot. I want a lot.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want more. I want a whole bunch. I want too much. I like that.
Yeah.
I do too. I do too.
And it's
No,
also
no.
about being an individual in all of this and being continuously being an individual with all of your relationships and
Yeah.
and wanting people who add things to your life in the way that I think in monogamous relationships in my past I've wanted to be complete in some way, whereas when I have multiple partners, multiple relationships, I feel like I'm doing my best, my all, and everyone else is just complimenting me, and it's me wanting to be in all these things. It's me choosing all these relationships, and that's very
Yeah.
meaningful in a way that I think within a monogamous relationship you have to continue to choose.
yeah.
That's the type of devotion I mean.
Well,
it doesn't have to. When it's not healthy for me, I felt like choice stopped. It was like, you get a little bit complacent, and if you're not happy, you're like, yeah, I'm not happy, but I don't want to wreck my life. I don't want to turn my life upside down.
I'm just like saying that I don't think jealousy is the only reason people are monogamous.
Right.
Oh no, I don't either.
For
And I
sure.
think some people are. It just makes sense and it feels good, and that's fucking great. I'm like all for it. I don't think anybody should try this. Like I had a.
Are you
driving
monogamous?
urge.
Are you monogamous within your form?
No. So we're all really allow each other to do whatever, and I'm the biggest slut. Like I love orgies. I love sex clubs. I have plenty of friends that fuck and different levels. There's me that are like we're friends. There's my partners, and there's a lot of like different things in between. It's a spectrum of all of that.
Yeah.
But no, my favorite thing in the world is being in a room full of naked people. Everybody's having sex and on drugs, but they're all
Stop.
loving and supportive.
Smiling and happy. Yeah, it's just something that you see. It's seeing people so enthusiastic to be there.
Yeah.
Like it's just nice to have that.
People think it's really an
Seeing
ugly
somebody
thing, and
bringing
it's not.
flowers.
It's not ugly. It's not weird.
sweet. I
It
can't
is
get
if
over
you're with the
that.
wrong people.
Now,
Get over that.
now, this is kind of a piggyback on what Zach had asked, but so with emotional monogamy, so within your quad, do you feel like that is deeper than anything outside of that?
I'm not sure what you mean.
So within this quad, right, you have somewhat of, I mean, monogamy is not the word, but you have a relationship within this for...
like a partnership, right?
Right.
We
So
call
there's
each
a
other
partnership.
partners.
So do you find that the love within that four group is stronger than what you have maybe outside of that?
So that's I really want to hear your answer to this too, because that's a really hard thing to understand.
And I want you to know that I'm asking genuinely, and I'm open, and I'm not trying to
No.
corner you on anything.
No. I don't feel that way at all, man. In the beginning, it was very hard for me to understand. I had a very hierarchical kind of idea of love. Like, this is the person I love, and that's it. you
Okay.
know? And I'll fucking kill everybody else for this person.
Coming
And
from the
that's
Midwest?
how I saw the world. Right, man. I mean, I had my best friend. Everything was
Aside from
hierarchical.
you.
Right,
you know?
right.
I have my favorite siblings, like all of that. But as time has gone on, like that's been one of the most positive things is really making me understand. I don't think I can really explain it, but I understand that love isn't that way and it's not limited. But that being said, like Evan is my fiance. She's my like, I hate the term primary partner, but it makes sense, right?
It feels like
It's terminology that people can equate to.
Yeah.
right.
But
so
I've
it's
had
almost
other-
like your other half.
Yeah, and I had another partner. We just split up recently, but her. She didn't know I was going to talk about this, so I won't mention her name. But we had something that was very outside of that. We didn't spend as much time together, but that love was just as real.
Okay.
It was deep. It was intense. But I'm still gonna go home and spend most of my nights with Evan.
Gotcha.
So. And that's all stuff you just have to navigate together over time.
Right.
And you really have to be flexible.
What also
in every way.
seems like, obviously we're brought up a certain way. And I say the Midwest just because that's where I came from. And there's a lot of Bible beating into young people. So it does feel like there would be reprogramming.
Oh, yeah.
Even though you may not believe it, you still have to rewire that.
Because there's a pull towards the type of lifestyle that really is in line with how you're interacting and wanting
Right.
love and everything. And so that's the deprogramming is just this outer voice shame where
Yeah.
it's more about you realigning with what you're more feeling
Right.
and more wanting. And when it comes to those things, I think it's just the language of layering or hierarching love, like really wanting to put first place, second place instead of just the realignment of being present in relationships and those
Gotcha.
loves, and just knowing that you love people differently, but you love them fully and completely.
Right. And I love that. I mean, I genuinely love that concept. I feel like I have deep relationships with lots of my friends. Where I become confused in the thing as within a group of people, and you're like, I love these people. are there moments where you realize that you have a higher affection towards one prior to the other? And if that gets in there, do you then, I mean, I hate to say this, but like, this is my favorite toy right now.
I think
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
it's
not
just
trying
about
to
the language, though. It's I hear what you're saying, but it's also about like just knowing what you want more of, you know.
Right.
And it's just more about what you're adding to your lifestyle,
Okay.
and like what because with what you do is what you make your life about, and who you want to spend your time with, and it also means that you're not overreaching with another relationship if you're not feeling that, and you're just being more honest with your inner, with yourself, and. I think it's about just taking the pressure off of wanting this idea of this is what I have to give to people.
And open, honest communication. I think that's the difference between being a shitty person in this and not being a shitty person is being really honest. So I have certain partners that are just sexual partners. And from day one, I make very clear what I'm about, what my boundaries are, my relationships, what I'd like out of the relationship with this person, and then that changes over time, but just constantly being super fucking honest about shit, because otherwise you're gonna ruin somebody's life.
It's helped my relationship with myself more than anything.
Too.
That's what I talk about.
So you would agree then, if when you're getting involved with someone, when you kind of have an understanding of what you want, it's best to lay that out on the table up front. And then kind of go from there.
Yeah, and it's tough. That's how hard it's hard to because you want what you want, and you know, like, well, if I tell them this, I might not have what I want. But
I wouldn't have learned these things if I hadn't if I was just still doing monogamous dating. I think because it forced me into this place where I, didn't have to placate or didn't want to placate anymore to just one person's ideals or that kind of thing. It's more like, yes, please. Really just aligning with yourself,
Okay.
Yeah.
But I know that the idea of like my favorite plaything, right? Like, so when you're in it, if you're a good person, it's really quickly that you leave those kind of thoughts behind, like naturally, not like you force it out or you're pretending, but like really quickly you realize this is a person, this is real. These are it's a sacred thing. Like it's not to be fucked with. I don't fucking fuck with people's emotions,
Yeah.
And I did way more when I was monogamous.
And you don't have the time.
Not even knowing.
You don't have the time or the energy, and that speaks to what you guys are talking about. It's that we don't have the time for superfluous or things that aren't serving me, things that I'm not.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to waste anyone's time, and I don't want to waste my time.
So let me ask you this, because we've talked a lot about like the positives and how we've gotten in here. Can you talk about the difficulties that you've seen or have, like hurdles you've had to deal with? I know we talked kind of about your emotional issue once you saw that.
Well, one thing that you guys said that I thought was interesting is that when you have a lot of people in a polycule, it's different because there's not as much attachment.
And that could be true for what it is, but it's more like it just spreads it out a little.
There's not as much time.
But even with one other person, that's going to spread it thin, And I don't know. You also said that both of you enjoy time alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
important.
very important to me. Yeah.
I love time alone. Too.
I don't sacrifice.
That's like living separately. It's
I
like,
don't sacrifice those things.
I really needed that to just be a better person. I'm not a good person to the people that I care about, or I'm not as good if don't have a decent amount of separation.
Yeah.
It's the only way that I recharge. I love being social, but it robs me. I got to be alone to recharge.
No, same
Yeah.
here. I need
I just got to zip up in my little panic attack room.
Yeah.
My little mushroom tent.
We all need a fucking mushroom.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I just spent time on the road going out to LA, and I slept in Moab, camped alone, went to Arches, Zion, and some of those nights were tough because it was 22 degrees.
Yeah.
But it's such an amazing thing when you're just dealing with yourself. You get up, you're cold, and you're like, well, I'm going to have to make a fire. I can't depend on anybody else. I'm going to have to make breakfast.
I find
Feels
camping
good.
alone terrifying.
And I get intensely lonely when
Yeah.
I'm, even if like I spend probably 1 to 3 nights out of a week alone, sleeping alone, at least going home, going to bed alone. I'll get intensely lonely, almost like on the verge of depression. But I've learned that that's me processing shit and
Right.
thinking and exactly what I need.
It's
And I wake up
uncomfortable
feeling better.
being alone with your own thoughts, but it's that time where you need that. You need
Yeah.
that the point of uncomfortability is where you grow.
Well, and then the thing, about the struggles too, like one of the weird things when I had like the panic attack and I was like, oh man, she's in love with somebody else. What it does, and it comes from a toxic place, but then it becomes positive, is that, like you said, you like realize like, oh man, maybe I'm not such a good guy and like all the things that were wrong with me. But then you know what it did was it made me be like, oh yeah, you know what? I have been kind of complacent. I have been taking her for granted in this way and this way. And it fucking sucked to realize all that. But then it made me better. I was able to deal with those things. And,
Right.
and when you realize like this person doesn't have to stick around, because I think that's a thing in monogamy. You subconsciously
Yeah.
are like, yeah, it'll be okay. It'll be fine. And that can become really ugly without you knowing it.
Well, because I feel like with that mindset, for sure, once you realize, oh, this person's going nowhere, that starts to lend itself to neglect, especially when boredom gets in.
Yep. And I was very guilty of it.
It's nice because it's like you can be polite, but you're like, I just have to end this. I just don't.
Yeah.
We just don't have anything more here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just when you feel that spark kind of die out, it's just
gotcha.
more kind to everybody involved.
And I can't live without that. Like, I don't want to be in a relationship
I
without
wanna
passion.
follow that
As soon as
spark.
passion's gone, I'm fucking out.
Yeah.
Why would you? I'm not going to have kids, so what's the fucking point?
Right.
Yeah, I used to have this when I was younger. I had this really cool therapist who, she's all like tatted up and was like somebody who I actually liked to talk to because she had done a lot of crazy shit. And I was like, oh, you're not, you have experience in what you're talking about. You didn't just like read this in a fucking book. But she said, like with relationships, anytime you think about them in the future, like even if it's like a year or 2 weeks or a month or whatever, it's like kind of terrifying and like and hard to it's just hard to think about, so really the best thing that you can do in any relationship is literally take it day by day, and every day, be like, do I like this relationship? Am I happy? And if you find yourself saying no a lot, then you need to fucking do something else.
Yeah. And ask yourself, am I being cool to this person? Am I being a good partner? And I think it's super common. I think you could be the best person in the world, and it's still easy to fall into that complacency.
Yeah, I think also
It's a lot
too,
harder in polyamory.
it's difficult when you start
It's a
falling into
competition.
those.
Well, dude, it's like,
gonna be the
I'm like,
best.
I know she can. She
Are you
doesn't have to be
are
with
you
me.
a competitive person?
Yeah, but not emotionally. If that bitch wants to play chess, I'm gonna fucking crush her now.
3D chess. 3D chess.
No, yeah.
Four,
it's weird.
well, 4 double D chess is what it is.
Yeah, I think fuck if you're and I always go to, if you're happy, you're fucking happy. And that's everybody's different, and that's what works for you, and that's great.
Yeah, and I've found too that so many, almost everyone that I know of that I've met, and I've met a lot of people in this world, comes from religious trauma of some kind. So a lot of it is deconditioning that. Like, and I really believe it sounds overly, I don't know, this is going to sound cheesy, but like when I'm like butt naked at a fucking orgy, it's empowering to me because I'm shrugging off all of that fucking Catholic bullshit.
Yeah.
That it was
All the
forced on
shame.
me, and all the shame and guilt. And I really do. I like walk away from those like feeling like a better person. It's so weird, but
So confident being naked in a room with other people who are also naked, because there's initially I hear this is that people are like, well, I'm going to be judging other people, or I'm going to be judging myself amongst these people. And it's just, no, you're just going to see bodies, and you're going to see what you appreciate on other people's bodies.
So
And
yeah,
it's
no,
seeing people's flaws and being like, want to bite that.
I still had a lot of these. I've had a lot of these experiences. You know, they were just earlier in my life. Like, I sold ecstasy in high school. You know, I've been to an orgy, baby. You know, but I've had sex in a room with a lot of other people. I've had a lot of, I've been around a lot of naked people. Yeah. You know, I've been at parties where just everybody's naked. I've performed at the nudist colonies, and I've always felt that there's something free about that. Just like embracing your body. Chris hit me up. I need to get back to him about doing the naked show. And I don't know, I've done all these other shows, but lately I'm just like, God, I'm not feeling my body. And I'm like, I probably should do it though, just to even do it when I hate my body.
Dude, I've done that show twice, and one time I was pretty okay with myself at the time, and the first time I was not at all, and it was better. Because I also think it's hilarious. I think a naked body is funny.
Oh yeah.
And the more,
especially a chubby one.
the more out of shape I am, the more I'm like, this is hilarious.
Oh, it's a Cupid baby. Yeah.
And my dick just gets so small on stage because I'm so
concentrating so hard.
Oh my God,
all the blood's going to your brain
funny.
for jokes.
I performed naked outside in March for the nudist colony.
Oh, nice. Is
and
that the
it was
Crawford
cold.
one?
Yeah. Have you done that one?
I did it indoor, but that was the first time I performed nude.
The fire rules. So the first time I performed nude was there, and I had to. They didn't have a PA. The guy got mad. That the karaoke guy got mad. They weren't having karaoke. That they're having comedians. So he took his shit.
Can you imagine just a naked karaoke guy storming off with his gear?
Oh yeah,
all mad,
holding
balls
an
wagging,
amp, and also that fat ass. Yeah.
So I had to perform butt naked. Buck, is it buck or butt?
They're both
think it's
cute.
both.
I like butt naked. It's so cute.
I think it's both. Yeah.
But for a room with no microphone, and so I just went up there with the Coors Light because it was my first time performing naked too, and not having a microphone, which as a comic makes you feel so naked, not having a mic.
That sounds worse to me than
Yeah.
It's double naked. You were double naked.
So I was just holding the Coors Light, and then I did my cat calling joke, and Crawford goes, "Man, that was so funny because when you do that joke with pants on." But he's like, you turn around and your dick and balls is hanging.
Wait a minute, they can see your dick from behind?
Well, you bend over, and kick it out. I'm not
Jesus,
trying
what
to
kind
say,
of hog are you hanging, man?
Yeah.
Little hog, huge balls.
Same here, brother, same here.
But, so, the worst part, though, was not having the fucking microphone. And it went good. It was a good show. Yeah.
Well,
I've done it 3 times.
Crawford and Wellman for those are such body positive, sex positive.
Oh, yeah. The Naughty Show. I got to do the Naughty Show.
Awesome.
That was fucking awesome. I got to rib the zip.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. Chris hit me up the other day, and he was like, "Hey, so I got the Naughty Show or the Naked Show. Which one?" It's naked. The Naked Show. I want it. That's my favorite show.
I like the Naughty Show a lot. It was very fun.
It's super fun. It's fun to watch other people up there that are funny and just terribly getting uncomfortable.
Yeah,
that's the best.
I've seen, man. I've never done good on that. I've never been able to riff very well on that.
Yeah, you're just hard.
It's really awkward and aggressive.
Yeah, you're like I'm used to
And then
doing,
Chris is like, Kyle, you don't have to be naked for this show.
Don't mind the shoelaces on my ball sack. Don't mind that.
Well, no,
I wanted to be involved.
What we pitched him is that we want to do a show, and I'm going to tie AJ up.
This keeps getting brought up. I don't know why I've got to be the beta here.
I do really love the idea of you guys doing more hippie, not hippie shows, doing shows together. You guys are just awesome together, and your comedy complements each other.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, we're trying to put some stuff together here, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, fuck. Well, where can people find you guys?
And probably an orgy.
If I'm naked and I'm padding for my phone, that's where that. I don't know.
Just Instagram. Kyle Pogue is very funny.
Olivia Schyling, Instagram, Facebook.
For a
You can
second, I
also-
thought you were going to say, yeah, Kyle Pogue is very funny also.
yeah, they can reach me there.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything exciting, but hit me up, man. And let me just plug. I got to plug my. Is it okay to plug my buddy's company?
Yeah, absolutely.
Room Temp Mycology is something I'm part of now. So that's on Instagram. Room Temp Mycology. He's a grower. His page is amazing.
Does he have a brick and mortar?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're working on it. And if you like anything there, hit me up. And we give away a lot of products and do a lot of educational stuff. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very fun. And if
Hell yeah.
anyone wants to, sell me mushrooms, go ahead. That's reach out to my Instagram. I'm always buying.
Oh, and I know this is
Love
like
drugs.
always about determining whether the guests are hippies or not, but I think we fucking passed that test a long time ago.
Free love, hard
Hey man,
yes.
you don't make that fucking decision.
You're
This
right.
isn't
All
your
right, fair
fucking
enough, fair
podcast.
enough, fair
Shut the fuck up.
That wasn't very hippie of you, man.
I'm the not hippie part.
You're really harsh in my mellow.
That was weird too. 'Cause
He
he was
reached
like,
into
"Shut the
his
fuck up,"
pocket.
and then it was like,
Yeah,
I
he
was
reached
like,
into his pocket. I thought he had anthrax.
What I
It was
meant,
fairy
what I
dust.
meant, what I meant to do is hit this and be like, "What the fuck? No, this isn't your podcast.
I thought
You
were
don't
just-
tell me how things work around here." No, all right.
Thanks for having me,
No,
boys.
I
That's the sound you're afraid you're going to hear when you walk out on stage naked for the first time. Womp, 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 womp.
that cold show was so funny because there was like a bunch of comics that had never like performed naked on it, and they were all like worried about the cold. And the nudists were all like, they're like, "Oh, the cold is the best. It's a great equalizer."
Yeah.
A great equalizer.
yeah, that's
like it's a Game of Thrones villain.
When I did that show, I had like a really good set, and it was ending, and I didn't know that it was really taboo to bring up anything sexual at nudist colonies because it's very non-sexual.
Yeah.
And I said, so I got to ask, what do you guys do about like what's the boner situation?
Oh, yeah.
And the lady that was like set it all up, she literally ran up to the stage and tried to take the mic out of my hand, and she was just going, "No, no." And I was panicking. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna ruin this whole fucking show." And luckily, I go, "No, like I assume it's like a compliment, like a tip of the hat.
So
Good morning." And luckily, they all laughed, and it was
they're
okay. But I was like,
circumcised,
I
yeah.
almost ruined that shit.
I remember Crawford when I went to go do the show because I think I did the second one or the third one. I think it was the second one. And he goes, "Don't do what Pogue did."
Dude, it was a narrow miss. Narrow miss.
It's
Yeah,
always
yeah.
funny when you do a show and they're like, "It used to be like this, but you can't do it anymore." And I'm always like, "Huh." Wonder what
Who do I
comic
know?
fucked that up for everybody.
You got to have a clean 10 and make sure your 10 are clean. That's more of an orgy
Heyo.
thing.
But cool. Well, who should we do first here?
Well, ladies first. So let's do Kyle.
All right. 3, 2,
Two, one.
1.
Hippie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Do you
was
listen to
gonna say.
jam bands?
Oh, a lot.
Okay.
See, we didn't even deep dive anything. We made a pretty solid bet off the orgies.
You know what I imagine is if you like an orgy, you like a long song.
You like a song that's 45 minutes.
Yeah, you're like this is my jam. I like to
my
fuck
God,
too.
yeah.
No
Yeah.
lyrics, all solos.
Write
Yeah.
that down. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love jam bands, man. And you guys turned me on to Goose,
Oh, dude, Goose is.
which I'm digging.
I'm not excited. So Goose is coming to Colorado, and I'd almost rather see him somewhere else. They're doing Fiddlers, and I don't understand why they're not doing Red Rocks. But I just heard that Fiddlers is not a great venue,
Yeah.
but they're doing
No.
2 nights.
Used to be called Diddlers.
Yeah.
What about So Many Roads?
620
You guys go there?
Diddlers Peen.
So many roads I do like.
I love that place.
Yeah, there's been a lot of controversy around that entire group of people.
It just reopened. You know, they got shut down again for cocaine or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen some good
all
shows
the Bianchi rooms are very interesting. But I will say this, one thing I appreciate is even though he's opened and had to shut down so many rooms, you can tell where he was because every building he goes into, there's a giant dead mural.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
There's
yeah.
always those little sweet teddy bears
Yeah.
marching around.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah, you know, Denver, legalize cocaine, all right? Seriously. Stop all these jokers running around with fentanyl. You know, let's get Kyle on here in 2 years being like, is it okay if I talk about my buddy's cocaine business? You know?
Hell yeah.
His name is Chet. I think
His
he's
name is
he's a
Chet.
Hank's child.
He grows it all himself.
Dude, I you know, in my day job, I'm in tech sales, so obviously I can bring some coke dealers anytime you want them on the podcast.
All right, let's see, Liv.
All right.
3,
2, 1. Hippie.
Hippie,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I think you were both cut from the same cloth, though.
You know, I didn't plan having you two on this together at all. It just happened to work out the fucking energy forces. But man, it was a really good.
Good energy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
I
stoked
would
when I
also-
saw that today. I was like really excited that we were on the show together, and
I
then I
had
got
no
to the
idea,
show,
yeah.
and you told me she was on the.
Yeah.
I fucking love Liv, man.
I would also
Yeah.
say
Kyle's
this.
the best.
Dude, you fucking crushed tonight. That was so fucking funny.
yeah,
Like, I'm
I
looking
know.
forward to having you on the show tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a twofer.
But if I
Yeah.
met both of you, like Kyle, no offense, initially I wouldn't judge you as a hippie if I met you.
Just said this on the way walking to your
But
to your house.
Liv,
Nobody
like
thinks it.
100%. Like
Yeah.
looking at your face, I'm like,
It's a
you
free love
radiate.
It's a don't worry about it. I'll talk to your
Yeah.
wife about this.
Yeah, but you do radiate this like caring about something.
I really like.
Baby sunshine Teletubby face. I think is what it is. I'm happy to be here.
And your voice too.
Yeah.
It's
What did
disarming.
you? What was the joke you had about your voice tonight?
A resting bimbo voice.
And what's the line? The pool.
Yeah.
That if I'm within 2 feet of a pool table, someone's trying to teach me pool.
That is such a good line.
I've been, going,
fucking
I've been
joke.
going to dive bars since I was 16. I know how to play pool.
Oh man, that was a killer set.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Where do you got them?
Let's see. This week, if you're in St.
I was thinking of
I thought
numbers
we
on
were
the
doing-
scale.
Oh well, she's a 10.
Yeah.
Like lives at
Multiple
10.
ways, baby,
100%.
yeah.
Oh, you guys are doing the.
Yeah, we
okay,
have a
all
new
right.
scale thing. We're doing
Yeah,
now.
and I mean, honestly, I would have had Kyle at first about a 7 to 8, like pretty heavy, but then it pushed into 9 once I found out about the jam bands. Like I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, I mean the Dead are probably my number one.
God, I did not know that. Like I can't believe I knew you this long and didn't know that.
Just the fact that I feel like I could ask you a question about fish and you not know if I'm talking about food or a band is what it is.
You wouldn't.
I mean,
I think it's a
guess it depends
50-50.
on the question.
Yeah.
So how long have you been into jam bands? Like for a while?
Yeah, I was one of those like in my teen years, like I wanted to like the Dead, but I didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I
Did
mean by
Fish
that?
pull you in then?
No, the Dead did like something. I smoked hash on the back of a naval vessel in Italy, in Sicily, while listening to a buddy's bootleg Dead cassette tape.
Were you in the Navy?
I was in the Navy, and I was restricted to the ship because I got caught drinking on the ship, so I was in trouble. My buddy went out. I couldn't leave the ship, so he went out. He brought back Italian hash, first time I'd ever smoked hash. And I listened to, it was Eyes of the World, was the song.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Which is actually one of my least favorite songs now. But
Yeah.
it was the song that something clicked in my head, and I was like, oh, I get it now. I get it.
Also, I mean, if you're high and you're in this amazing space, and then you get a live version,
Yeah.
that's where they'll get.
And
you.
it was like grainy, old school cassette, but
Yeah.
it was, you really could hear, that's when the moment where you're like really understanding why people fucking love it so much.
Yeah.
And then from then on, it just all made sense.
Yeah,
And then I only like Fish. I like studio Fish. Like I'm the bad, like I'm
dude.
not a Fish
I'll be
fan,
honest,
but I love some
like,
of it.
yeah, Hoist pulled me in. It's a fun 90s album. Farmhouse, it's a great album. It's a great bluegrass album.
The song Bug got me. That was
yeah.
it. And I was in.
Yeah, it's good.
And Trey is like one of the greatest guitar players of all. He's like one of my favorite guitar
There was some shit that happened last Thursday at Dick's when they ended by doing Split Open and Melt that I don't even know what the fuck happened. Like it was, and people were losing. The guy in front of me was on so much acid. It was the greatest thing to witness because he went. What? Like he's having these conversations with people, and then all of a sudden he turned around and I was like, "Hey man," he goes, "Is it 1998?" And I was like, "What the fuck?" And he goes, "They just blew my fucking mind."
Yeah. No, you don't get that until you get it. You know?
He's like they played 7 notes that they played when they played this song in 1998.
Dude,
And
yeah.
they were the same notes, and I recognize them because I've listened to that set
got
from
beamed up.
1998
I
so
got
many
beamed up.
fucking times.
I love that. I love that level of nerdiness about it. What I don't like though is, and this is why you probably don't spot me coming, is because I hate the jam band culture, or a lot of it, because
there's-
fucking people are so elitist about it.
Well, that's the thing.
You've got all kinds of people to spot you coming.
Yeah, it is really weird. Like if you're a deadhead, you're supposed to hate Fish, and it gets all in these weird circles. And you go, "Why can't I just like the music I like?"
I had somebody ask me. I went and saw Panic.
You
at
can.
Red Rocks.
Yeah.
in a few
That's the
years,
answer to that question.
Right.
You
First-
can. You totally can.
First show post pandemic.
If you can be in polyamorous relationships,
Yeah.
you can like
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fish
man. Open
and
your
the
heart,
Grateful
These
dude.
are
Dead.
my
Open your
ear holes.
heart.
I'll stuff whatever music I want now.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you right now, Dave Yates has had the greatest thing that has now launched his social media. And when we did that Wook Dick show, I mean, that thing got like 2 million hits, and it was literally his thing going, "I love Fish. It's my favorite band." And the fans, you motherfuckers, are the least favorite thing about seeing the one thing I love. Like, I have to
It
get
sucks.
through a wall of what I hate to get through the one thing that I enjoy the most out of life.
I had a lady. I said, "Oh yeah, I love Panic." You know, I followed Panic. I did a Panic tour. Like when I was younger, I did like 6 weeks on tour with Panic. I loved them.
And then
But
you
I've
did a
never
2-day
been-
Panic tour when
that tour sucked, man. But
You were there for Mikey Hauser?
I missed Mikey.
Okay.
But I love him, but I'm not the guy. I don't learn everyone's name, and I don't fucking care who their roadie is and all this shit. So I mentioned a member of the band, and
you
I
don't
said
care
the wrong
about
name.
Timmy Beef.
And I had like this fan
You
in
don't care
front of
about
me.
Loser Jones?
That's what they did.
You don't care about
This
Dr.
fan goes,
Kev?
whoa. Did you just say JoJo was the whatever? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, okay, hang on. And she leaned
Oh,
over,
God damn it.
whispered to her friend, and they both looked at me and laughed. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll fuck. I hope you die in a fire. I'm not your hippie at all. Like
Yeah.
I am. And then same show, a guy was talking to me about music. We were just talking about the music we like, and he said, oh yeah, I really love. And he got quiet. And he looked around. And he goes, I really love Metallica too, man. Like I love Metallica. But
Isn't that fucked
don't
up?
tell anybody. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you know, like. And I was like, oh,
Dude,
God, that's disgusting. You
I
got to
was-
be ashamed of what? You got to be this.
You were like-
you're in the military
Yeah.
at that point. What are you
You were
doing?
like, do you sing "Bye Bye Bye" when it comes on?
Yeah, I was genuinely
Fuck
that
you,
way
Zach.
about being a Jam fan. Like if you opened my record collection, you'd see it. But like if people were asked, I'd be like, I can get into it. And because it was so popular from the early 2000s into the mid 2000s to just shit all over that community.
yeah.
And now it's funny. Half the people that I know that were shitting on me are now going to shows.
Yeah.
It's
who
wild.
gives a shit? Like,
Yeah.
if you're passionate about something, that's cool. I don't
Yeah.
care what
Enjoy
it is.
it.
You know?
Yeah, I'll be honest. That's what I love about Cheese, like the String Cheese incident. Their fans, hands down, have been the most accepting.
Agreed.
Like, you can fuck something up and they'll go, oh, it was actually in 96, but, you know, we were all there.
Yeah, they're so.
Like-
you're right, and that is so weird. And like Panic fans are generally
Lot of
cool,
whiskey.
but hard drugs too.
Yeah.
Panic tour. 2 people OD'd. 2 lot people that we like knew like OD'd in a 6-week
Yeah.
tour. Like every band has their very specific
Yeah.
fan like.
Well, and I think
persona.
that's what happened with the dead and fish is like there were so many deadheads that were traveling, and then when Jerry died, fish kind of picked up where they were just kind of these, for lack of a better term, these heads were abandoned.
Yeah.
So then a lot of them moved over to fish, and then the old heads were like, "That's fucked up," and you're like, "Well, but this is a lifestyle we love."
They need a home. Give
Right.
them a
Yeah,
home.
and there's a lot of lost souls that just people searching for identity, and that gives them identity. And
It's
not always
really-
in a good way.
It's really funny, and I used to hate on people for liking certain things.
Me too.
But
It's what you do when you're young.
Yeah.
yeah,
You want to love something so hard that no one else can love it as hard as you.
Yeah, I want to be so hard that
or it's like when you love a band, and as soon as it gets discovered, you're like,
It feels less of your own, but it is.
Yeah.
And it's nice to connect with people and just be in that pit where everyone's just all sweaty and I'm talking about orgies again.
So this is a dream now I have with oh man, I almost said his name on air and I won't, but you guys know a friend. We want to have a hippie themed orgy just so that we can play jam band music the whole time and nobody else shut it off, because everybody always wants to shut it off.
Yeah.
And I want to fuck all night to the Dead and stuff.
yeah, you gotta.
Upbeat R&B is what it usually
And if you
is.
tell them it's
Nobody
a costume
switches
party.
partners until this dark star's over, and they're like, "This is way too long, dude."
Yeah, no, dude, that's like 45
Listen,
minutes.
noodle on noodle.
If I can't come within one song, it's a jam band. I know that.
And you have to serve pasta. Noodle on noodle.
Yeah, hell yeah. If you just tell people like, no, it's like hippie theme, but yeah, that's our sneaky plan.
Dude, this is.
So you do themes?
We've done one. I've done one thing. I've organized a few of these parties, and we did in October we did a satanic theme, but it was not cheesy satanic. It had to be like dark and kind of gritty satanic. It's fucking the coolest party, man.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Everybody got into it. It was really hot and weird and dark.
Yeah.
A lot of blood play.
There's a lot of fake blood play.
Yeah.
I'm gonna draw some lines there for sure. I can't get into that.
No cupping.
Put a couple pennies in the fake blood. Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I got you at an 8. I got you at a 7.
All right.
I thought I got a 10, but that's fine.
He said.
Well,
he
no, I
said
gave you a 10. So we have two
Yeah.
completely different viewpoints.
You said
and
8.
it's weird
Okay.
because if I had to talk to you more, you both would have been 10s.
Look at my haircut. I'm not.
No, I think
know.
that takes a lot more to be a 10 than for me. I don't know. I
100%.
think that you still
think-
have room to go.
I think I want more. Ask me
Both
more
of you.
questions. I can answer
Yeah.
them. Ask me more questions. I'll grow into it.
Yeah. Well, I also think that like general public normies, I think that have a different aspect of what hippies are, and I think it is a spectrum, just like anything. And I have one view, and I separate that from what the general population thinks of.
Am I a normie?
So that's right. The look.
Not with that
Yeah.
hair. No.
Because I mean, that's really what most people, when you go, well, these dirty hippies, and you go, no, those are wooks.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and they're just
It's a
bad people, and
subsection.
they're everywhere.
They're just- yeah.
shitty, kind of shitty people.
Yeah, there was a great wook meme.
I
a long
think
time
even
ago,
without
like,
being
his name's
wooks, you
James,
have
and he's
room to
actually a
grow.
nice person.
Yeah. You're right. I could shower less.
Yeah.
I know I could.
And every
I
now and
love
then,
the smell of BO and patchouli.
I do too.
I mean, it fucking.
I
It'll
am
stiff me
highly
up.
attracted to body odor. Like when a woman has a natural, fucking
Yeah.
strong.
Dude, I ran into a woman, and Marciana knows this, but at a music festival I was hosting, and we were a few days into it, and this little thing with dreadlocks and 3 days of BO and dirty feet, and just covering it up with patchouli, came up to me and went, "Do you know who's playing the main stage?" I was like, "Oh God, I didn't know.
Wow.
I didn't know that was a thing I,
hope
was
you,
into."
I hope you are.
Yeah, you're on my main
All
stage
right.
now.
Yeah.
We're at an hour and 40 minutes. And
I'm hard as a rock.
and everyone that has
Fucking
heard
bricked up
AJ's
right now.
hippie girl story 100 times on the video. He tells it every week.
They do love it.
It wraps it up.
Love and light, y'all. Love and light.
Do you know where the main stage
Do you know
is?
who's playing the
Good
main
eye.
stage?
Cockney.
Good eye, sir. Do you know where the main stage
I know
is?
who's playing the mid stage.
Oh no.
Stiff as a-
Okay. Thanks so much for coming on. It's good hanging out with you guys. Fun talking.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
to see you. Follow them both on Instagram. Check out the mushrooms and like, subscribe, and get on the motherfucking